Daly. 6 minutes.
I'll be brief, and thanks very much for coming in. I think Deputy O'Sullivan was right that we need to contextualise why we're here, and I think we're here discussing this topic because time after time it has been shown that Irish people believe that in circumstances where somebody has become pregnant as a result of rape, that person shouldn't be forced to continue with that pregnancy against their will. I think it's important to say that that doesn't in any way undermine or devalue the decisions of those people who make the opposite decision and decide to continue with that pregnancy. And I think it is important to say that, but it's recognising that the other circumstances of people who may be married, who may have other children, who may have to grapple with issues and the impact on their own mental health of dealing with pregnancy as a result of rape and cannot continue on with the pregnancy. It's their rights that we're looking at here, and I think time after time Irish people accept that. So what we're looking at here is, well, how do we best access that and provide for that? And I think you've answered it so well already. Like that, there's not a chance in hell of doing that by any circumstances requiring any issue of proof. I mean, even the most basket cases of countries, nobody requires judicial authorisation. No country, even ones with really restrictive regimes. I think in Europe, it's a handful of countries would require a police report. But I mean, you said so clearly that to provide any sort of declaration to anybody constitutes a re-traumatising. Are we not overcomplicating things here? Is it not just the case, and I think you said it, Mr. O'Malley, like that, the issue of proof only comes up if we deal with exceptions-based legislation, and that actually the way in which most countries in Europe deal with this is that they make abortion available, certainly in the first trimester, without any restriction as to reason, and then based on medical grounds. And would we not be all doing ourselves a favour by providing that scenario so that we're not re-traumatising women? And the other just quick question in that context, and it was the point made by Dr. Ogan in relation to the fact that the studies, and it wasn't clear, was it that the studies show that some people who become pregnant only present after the first trimester? Is that presenting to yourselves in the units, or
no.
declare
their pregnancy?
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind that study is 20 years old.
Yeah.
Emergency contraception was not as available and not as effective. Yeah. So things may be different now. Yeah. And in general, people have a greater awareness now. Even in normal obstetric practice, yeah, people generally present with their pregnancies earlier than previously. So you know,
I suppose in that context, I'm asking, would the European solution, if you like, of no restrictions as to reason the first one, take account of practically all or the vast majority of the cases where somebody would be impregnated as a result of rape and may seek a termination? That's fair to well, they're just like, yeah.
Her first comments are.
I mean, would it not be like? Are we not just overcomplicating it? Can we? Would that not?
I made that clear. I'm trying to be as if you like, open as possible about it, in the sense of, like, what I was asked to address was the legal issues. So I'm trying to look at, if you like, both the legal issues that would arise, which would be very few if abortion was available freely up to the first 3 months, wherever it might be. But all I'm saying is, if you took the opposite approach of restricting abortion to certain grounds, well, then you certainly would have to deal with these real questions that we have been addressing. So, I mean, I'm not recommending which you should achieve, but I think it's quite clear that you would avoid these problems in the event that abortion was freely available for the first 3 months or whatever the period may be. I'm not really sufficiently familiar with the abortion policy issue.
Like, how many would that capture, if you like? I mean, you know what I mean? If it was, say, first trimester, that's more a medical thing, I suppose.
Yeah, and I suppose we don't have that information. We know that that far more people are raped than become pregnant after rape. We do know that it may be because of the whole trauma of becoming pregnant after rape that you don't disclose it until later on. However, you're right that there are very many countries who get over this by having easy access to termination of pregnancy, more ready access to termination of pregnancy without having to give a reason. And ultimately, we are the technical advisors and you are the legislators, so you can take our information and use it in your own deliberations.
Thank you, Deputy. Deputy O'Connell.